Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'd like to put some lavender flowers along the collar of this shirt, and to do so I'm going to begin with my tiny embroidery hoop. This is a 3-inch, some needles, the floss I want to use, and some scissors. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew the hardware at the top of this hoop, and I'm going to place the hoop in the area that I want the first flower to begin. And I'm just going to keep my fabric here very lightly in the hoop. I don't need it to be super tight for this, but I want to be able to see the way that the stitches are going to fall on the item, but it's very loose, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my green. So I'm going to do the stems first. Now I'm going to stitch with 2 strands, but because I'm working on a garment and I may not want knots on the back side, what I'm going to do is separate 1 strand, and then I'm going to bring the ends together, and we're going to do something called a loop start. So you're going to grab your needle, and then you're going to put those ends that you folded together into the eye of the needle. So this way you have 2 ends on one side and a loop on the other. We're going to make our first starting stitch, but we're not going to pull this thread all the way through. We want to keep this loop on the back. So we're going to reinsert our needle back down. And then I'm going to run my needle through that loop, and that's going to secure it without any knots on the back side. And now I'm going to continue making my stem. Now, these are going to be pretty small flowers, and I do have another video of all the different types of wildflowers that you can make using French knots on my video section of the channel. I'm just going to make a tiny leaf coming up on this side as well, because my flower is going to be a lavender. I just thought that would be really cute along the collar of this shirt. So I want to stop my green now since I'm done with the stem. So I'm going to run my needle under a few stitches on the back side. I'm going to do this in multiple areas so that everything is secure. Now, if you're really worried and you don't mind knots on the back of your fabric, you could also tie a knot here, but if you run it under various areas, it'll be fine. So next I'm going to make the actual flower part of the lavender. We're going to repeat our loop start, putting the ends together, threading our needle with those ends. And now, since I'm doing French knots, for this particular loop start, I'm actually going to make a starting stitch first, just to make everything secure before I actually put in a French knot. So I'm just going to make a teeny tiny loop start stitch, and now on the next stitch, I'm going to start my French knots. So to do this, I'm going to lay the hoop down here. You're going to wrap your floss around your needle twice, insert the needle back into the fabric, pull those coils down to meet your fabric, and then gently pull through. I do have another detailed video on this as well, but that is the same procedure I outlined in that video. Wrap twice, insert your needle, pull it down, and then pull the needle through. And I'm going to do 3 of these French knots for each of these lavender sprigs, I think. And here's our first little lavender sprig. You're going to repeat that across the entire length of the collar. Now, I do have a video that shows all the different types of flowers that you can make using French knots. There's a ton of them, but I think for this one, I'm going to stick with the color palette that I have. I really like it. And I'm just going to continue to stitch the same flower around the entire collar. But I do think it would be absolutely adorable to use different wildflowers. So you had like a wildflower collar. It's just not what I'm in the mood for today. So I'm just going to do lavender today. I'm in the mood for a little relaxation. So I'll take the vibes wherever I can get them. So as you can see here, I had a pretty long length of green. So I'm just going to go ahead and get ahead on the stitching of the stems. You don't have to do it this way. You can absolutely stitch each flower individually and then close off the back. That's probably the most secure way to do it. But since I'm happy to like tear this out and restitch flowers as I see fit, I'm not really too worried about that at this time. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the stems first, and then I'm going to do the flowers and move forward from there. So as I'm continuing to make these flowers along the collar, when I get to the end of the section that the hoop is in, I'm just going to go ahead and undo the hoop hardware and move it a bit forward on the collar. So here I am in the middle of it, about halfway done. This is what it looks like if you choose to stitch with it not in the hoop. And there is a good benefit to that. You can see exactly how the stitches will lay on the garment without the hoop in it. You can do it both ways. There's benefits and drawbacks to both. It's definitely harder to stitch without a hoop, but I do think it's nice that you are able to see exactly what the stitches are going to look like when you wear it, which is just like this.